All right? So I got a great message this morning. We are continuing with the Blessed Life series. This is number 37, isn't that right? 37 on this series? No. This will be the last one. Everyone say the final countdown.
It's the final countdown.
Yeah, some of you singing, I love you. I love my church. I love you people. I'm singing, woo. That is not Christian music. What is wrong with that half? I don't know what it's called. Oh my gosh, I'm so offended. All right. The final countdown for me leaving, that's what it is. Yeah. All right, so this morning my message is entitled, Why So Salty? If you are 20s and down, you probably know what I'm saying. If you're a teenager, you know what that word salty means, raise your hand. Does anybody know what that means?
What I meant.
There's like one or two adults. They're like, I'm cool, I know. So a modern term would be like when you're acting rude, or you're acting a little bit inconsiderate, or you're being a little bit judgy maybe, or you're just being a butt, okay? Let me just put it that way. Let me just put it straight, right? Right? That's called being salty, all right? Is when you're just, you ever get a mouthful of salt? Anybody? When I was a kid, I used to spoon sugar. Right? I just get spoonfuls of sugar because it helps the medicine go down, right? Obvious, hello, come on. Stay with me here. All right? So kids understand salty, the adults understood the other one. Together we all understand. All right, so a spoonful of sugar, right? So can you imagine if I would have got the wrong one? How would that have tasted? Right? Ooh, that's salty, right? That's salty. All right, so we don't want to be salty, all right? But here's the cool thing is I'm going to teach you something about the Word of God this morning. I like to teach you something. You got to leave here learning something, right? So this morning we're going to understand what it is to be wise, how to walk in God's wisdom, how to share your faith wisely, all right? See, I think a lot of times the church does a poor job of being a reflection of who God is. I think that our church is an image that does not resemble God much anymore. All right? And I'm not talking about our church. I think our church does a wonderful job. What I'm trying to do this morning is I want you to learn and understand what it is you already know how to do. Does that make sense? Yeah. Sometimes I play guitar and then someone will ask me how to do a chord on the guitar, and I have to. I'm like, I don't know. I have to then analyze how to do it to teach someone to do it. I just do it naturally. So some of us naturally do these things. Our church naturally does these things, but understand there are spiritual rules, spiritual consequences, and so I want you to understand more fully what the Word of God says, because see, here's what's cool. When you're a believer, when God is operating through you, you just naturally do some things even though you're not aware of it or understand why you do it. Okay, I've heard a lot of people say, I don't know why this is true, but it's a spiritual truth. I've heard that a lot of times, and sometimes we act the right way without even realizing it. So our church is actually excellent at this, but I think as a body of Christ that sometimes we miss this. So I want to teach you guys something about how to be more wise. So James 3:17 says, but the wisdom that comes from heaven is first of all pure, then peace-loving, considerate, submissive, full of mercy and good fruit, impartial and sincere. All right, so the wisdom of God. Now the first part of this chapter talks about what the wisdom of the world looks like. And let me give you a summary. It's the opposite of that stuff. Is that easy enough? Like it's like ugly, right? Like mean and judgy and yelly and condemning and harsh. And that's all the things that the world's wisdom is. Now, I've read the Bible. I'm pretty sure we're supposed to act like God. Still trying to get that, right? Still trying to come under that and understand that. I think most of us, our entire life, will still be trying to go, oh, I'm supposed to act like God. I forgot today when that person cut me off, right? Now, I'm not that bad about cutting off, but man, do not put your shopping cart on this side of the aisle at Walmart and stand on this side. Come on, can I get an amen? Do not aisle block me, I'm telling you. I have to get saved all over again every time. You just wait. Some people will like kind of cut me off on the road, and I've learned to be cool with the cutting off. I'm not or if people honk at me, I don't get irritated because most of the time it's one of you guys trying to flag me down. Right? Monica did it to me the other day. She's honking at me. I'm like, what did I do wrong? And it was Monica. Right? Hi! Want to hang out? I drove really fast. Or am I? But the wisdom of God that comes from heaven is first of all pure. Say pure. Okay, so we get it. God's wisdom is not corrupted by man's wisdom, right? It is separate from that. It is pure. It exists purely. The second thing it says is that God's wisdom is peace-loving. Okay? Sometimes we are not peacemakers. Sometimes we want to tell people what is right and what is wrong, and we don't want to be peaceful about it, right? We want to stir up conflict and stir up fights, right? It's like I always say, I got on Facebook just to check and see what's going on, and now I'm in an argument. Whew, right? So it happens all the time. The wisdom of God, if you are operating the wisdom of God, it will first be peace-loving. It will be trying to make peace with someone. And it is considerate. It is submissive to God. Okay? It's full of mercy and good fruit. Impartial, it's fair, and it's sincere. It's from the honest, deep places of our life. Okay? So when we are sharing our understanding of the Word of God with somebody that maybe is not at the same level as us. Maybe they don't understand what we understand. Maybe they don't have the deep revelation of God that you do. And so we come to them and say, baby Christian, let me tell you something. I know and you don't. Let me put you in your place. Do you think that is wise according to what God considers wisdom? I don't. I don't think that's wise at all. Now let me explain to you what Jesus looks at when he looks at us and understand who we are. Now, what I did last week is I started to reveal to you some of the mysteries of who God is. I think when you're reading the Bible, the easiest way to understand the Word of God, very simply, is to understand who God is. If you understand the heart of God, if you understand the nature of God, if you understand who He is, when you read about what He likes or doesn't like, or what He's asking you to do, it'll make more sense, right? In my household, my children understand who I am. They understand when I say something, what I mean by it, and they can more comprehend easily what I'm trying to express to them. Let me give you a very quick example. In my house, if I tell one of my kids, hey, Isaiah, come here. Nope. Because he knows I'm up to no good. When I call him into a room, his first reaction is, what do you want? What do you want? And there's like guardedness, right? Because he don't know water's going to get thrown in, he's going to get tackled, I'm going to smack him, we start chasing him through the house. He understands my nature and who I am, right? Now the one rule in our house that is not to be broken, he knows if I come to them, my kids know, if I say, give me a hug, at first, when they were younger, they know that I'm a troublemaker, all right? And they know that I'm always after them, but they know hugs are off limits to that trouble. They know that if I'm asking for a hug, I am not convincing them or trying to trick them into getting close enough so I can snatch them up, all right? So I can do mean things to them. Doesn't mean I don't want to, but what? Me too, right? All right, but hugs are off limit. Why? Because I never want my children to be afraid to give me a hug. I never want love to be a factor that's corrupted, okay? So I made that rule from the very beginning. Hugs are off limit. If we're in the middle of being ornery to each other and I say, give me a hug, you can come give me a hug and then get distance and you're safe and then time in, right? The war is on. I don't care if it's throwing water balloons inside the house, right? I get in trouble a lot, by the way. We have done the water fights in the house. Yeah. You guys need to be nice to my wife. I mean, she goes through a lot. Like, give her some love and support. Can you imagine? Water fights in the house? What is wrong with us? We're fine. All right, but they know the boundaries of who I am. So they know when I speak and I ask them or say something to them, they understand my nature. So I think it's important to understand the nature of God to analyze the Word of God. When you understand His heart, you understand who He is and what He's asking. All right, so we're still in the Sermon on the Mount. Who thought that I could preach for 37 sermons in a row on the Sermon on the Mount? Still in Matthew chapter 5. It's only 6, okay? And this is the final one. All right, so Matthew 5:13 says, you are the salt of the earth. But if the salt loses its saltiness, how can it be made salty again? It is no longer good for anything except to be thrown out and trampled underfoot. Now, first of all, salt can't lose its saltiness, can it? I don't know how salt can lose its saltiness. You can water it down, but salt is still salt. So God is trying to get something through here about us being salt. So, by the way, you are all salt, if you did not know that, okay? Didn't say you were salty, but you are all salt. All right, Matthew 5:14 through 16 says, you are also the light. You are the light of the world. A town built on a hill cannot be hidden. Neither do people light a lamp and put it under a bowl. Instead, they put it on a stand, and give it to everyone in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, that they may see your good deeds and glorify your Father in heaven. So that they may see you. So Jesus refers to us both here. Now, this is immediately following the 8 blessings. Jesus opens up Matthew 5 to 8 blessings. And he explains that blessed are those. And he gives examples of who is blessed. And then he immediately follows it up with, you are the salt of the earth and you are the light of the earth. Now I want you to notice something. It doesn't say, now he's preaching to 5,000 people. A lot of people there were not yet believers, right? Okay, now he's talking to the believer here. If you're not yet a believer, you can become this, okay? But he's talking to them and says, you are salt. Now he doesn't say you are becoming salt. He doesn't say you're going to be salt. He doesn't specify that you're almost salt or in the process of turning into salt. He says you are salt. You are light. He's already defining that are already salt, and you are already light. Now, I think most of us can understand the concept of light, right? Light drives away darkness. It exposes things you can see. Right? I think we all get that, but I want to focus on salt, because a lot of you are going, okay, I'm salt. Okay, right? Maybe you don't understand the full implications of salt. Now, the Old Testament teaches us a little bit about salt. Now, remember, I'm a big fan of understanding the culture and times that the Bible was created in, because I think that helps you to understand what God is saying to you, right? If you don't understand the people, if you don't understand salt, you say, oh, yay, I'm salt. What did you learn in church? I'm salt, right? I guess, right? That doesn't make any sense, and it's not, wow, you told me I was salt. You can go home. Right? Okay, so what is salt? What does that mean? Salt was a sign in the Old Testament of friendship. Okay, it was a covenant of friendship. It was a bond. Okay? In fact, there's something called a salt covenant that is made, and there are lots of references to salt, and I'm just going to kind of give you a taste of what's in the Old Testament. Taste. No pun intended. A taste. That's good. Good, Ren. Good job. Salt was regarded as a necessary ingredient for daily food. Salt is a purifier, okay, and it is a preservative. It helps preserve and it helps purify. All right, and it was offered to God, Yahweh. In Leviticus 2:13, they offered it as a sacrifice. Okay, so it's part of the sacrifices. It was included in that. People used it when making covenants between them, making friends between them. They ate together, men became friends. When you ate with a man, you became a friend, okay? That's what happened. In fact, there's like kind of an Arabic expression that says there's salt between us. When you say to somebody, oh man, no, there's salt between us. Okay, that means that there's a friendship between us. We've been through stuff. We bonded. We're friends now. There's a salt between us. Let me put that in my kind of terms that would make sense. If I have asked you to go to coffee with me, there's coffee between us. We're friends now. We've bonded. Okay? We have a bond, right? Thomas is like, yep, he took me to coffee. We nerded out at coffee, talking about all kinds of cool nerd stuff. If I've done that, there's coffee between us. That means that we've done something together. Does that make sense? And so salt represented a friendship or a bond. It also represented a covenant that they made to God. And that was in Ezra 4:14. But in Numbers 18:19, they talked about a statute, a covenant of salt forever before God. David received his kingdom forever from God by a covenant of salt in 2 Chronicles. And in Mark 9, it talks about have salt in yourself and be at peace with one another. So there's all this idea of salt. Salt is a friendship maker. It is a bond maker. It is a covenant maker. It is a sacrifice to God. So salt seems to show up a lot. It might be important, right? So now you see salt is a little bit more. So if I come to you and say, we're salt together, that means we're friends, right? We've had salt. So there's actually customs where they share salt, or they throw salt, and there's all these salt, lots of salt, man, going everywhere. Right? It's like diamonds, right? It's just a ploy by the salt industry to sell more salt. Always. Dang corporate. Corporate. All right. So in Jude 1:22 through 23, it says this: be merciful to those who doubt. Save others by snatching them from the fire. To others show mercy mixed with fear, hating even the clothing stained by corrupted flesh. All right. So the idea is that we are supposed to be salt to the world. We are supposed to be salt to the world. Right? To those who doubt, to those who have little faith. We are supposed to be salt to the world. But here's the problem that we do. Sometimes we want to bash the carrot for being a carrot. We're salt, they're a carrot, and we don't realize we're just finishing off the stew. I know it's almost lunchtime, I'm talking about food. What is wrong with this guy? See, Jesus did the same thing. He didn't learn. He started talking about salt here in the beginning of this sermon, and then he had to feed everyone 5 loaves and some fishies, and right, he had to multiply. That's why. So don't get too hungry on me, but we're going to get through this. Be merciful to those who doubt. We're supposed to be salt. What happens when you make a stew? You guys ever try to make a stew and you put some carrots in there, you put some onions in there, and you put some celery or whatever, and then you don't salt it? You ever try tasting it? It's a little bland, right? It's a little boring. It doesn't quite have the same flavor. See, we're the flavor of the world. That's the idea of what salt is, right? We're the flavor of the world. Now, you ever ate something that was too salty? You ever had someone just like you go to like they go, right? You ever go to a restaurant? Oh, see? And they do that, right? They just set the lid on there, and then you pour. You ever had that happen to you?
Yeah.
Oh, you like that? Is it tasty?
No.
Or does it ruin it? See, a lot of Christians, we're salt. And we like to just pour it on other people. We like to just give it to them and tell them how it is and tell them the truth. I'm not saying that we're not truth, because we are salt, but I'm saying that sometimes pouring your truth on somebody else does not help them be a better recipe. It does not help them be better stew. You're ruining them. You're crushing them. You're overpowering them to the point that they don't want anything to do with it. They don't want to taste and see. Okay? So let me read this to you one more time. Be merciful to those who doubt. Snatch others from the fire and save them. To others show mercy mixed with fear, hating even the clothing stained by corrupted flesh. So this is where we get the idea of hate the sin, love the sinner, right? Okay, but I want to read this to you in the Message. We don't have it up there, but I'm going to read it to you. It says it like this in the Message. Go easy on those who hesitate in the faith. Go after those who take the wrong way. Be tender with sinners, but not soft on sin. Be tender with sinners, but not soft on sin. The sin itself sinks to high heaven. See, what Jude is trying to say here is our job as believers is to throw dashes of salt in the mix and change the recipe of our culture. Is to improve our culture. Not drown it, not abstain from it. The world says be separate, but not part of it. Being separate doesn't mean not throwing in our salt. That's not what it means. Okay? It means salt is salt, and salt will always be salt. Here's the problem. We think that somehow we're corrupted by being around the world. Somehow we're corrupted if we don't walk into the world and tell them everything they've done is wrong and evil and broken. And that's just nonsense. Can I just say that? That's just nonsense. I watched this preacher. Someone posted a link, and I watched this preacher, and I just decided I'd watch it. And it was all about like not drinking, like why you shouldn't drink. And I'm watching it. And something he said caught my attention. He was talking a lot about old, ancient culture, and so that was interesting to me. And I listened to him, and I actually found he had a lot of wisdom. A lot of the stuff he was saying, like he made a really good point, right? And it wasn't that I like didn't agree with his point or did agree with his point, but as I'm watching it, I found myself disconnecting from him and rejecting everything he said. Not because he wasn't right necessarily, but because he was a jerk. I mean, just honestly. He was rude. He was arrogant. He was mean. He was belittling to the people he was talking to. Like they should have known this, and how dare them, you awful people. And I'm just thinking, if I was in that room, I'd get up and go, you're right, but you're not nice, and I don't like you. Sometimes we're right, but we're not nice. And people don't like us. Can we just be real? Right? Who in the world wants to listen to somebody you don't like? They don't care what you know until they know how much you care. They don't care what you know until they know how much you care. See, the Bible calls us to be merciful to those who doubt. It calls us to snatch them from the fire, but show them mercy first. And as a church, I think a lot of times the body of Christ doesn't do a very good job with mercy. I don't think we have a lot of patience for people. I don't think we have... See, this is what we expect. We expect them to show up to church the first time, have their lives radically changed right there, walk out the door, and be perfect from then on out. You're not perfect. I'm not perfect. But we expect them to be, don't we? Sometimes that's what happens. We forget that it's a process. We forget that it's a process. And that's what our church does so well. That's why I love you guys. Because you can come in here messed up, broken, beat up. You can come back next week with the same brokenness. And we will love you just the same. But we need to understand why. Because the Bible calls wisdom to be patient and merciful. Because the Bible calls salt to be patient and merciful. Because the Bible tells us to be patient with those that don't believe the same as we do. Doesn't it? It calls us to be merciful. That's what it says. Now Jesus lists these 8 things about being blessed that we're supposed to mimic. If we can live up to these 8 things, we will understand what it means to be blessed. Okay? And none of them are judging. Okay, let me read through these. In Matthew 5, 3 through 10, this is what we've been going over, all the blessed. And it starts out with blessed are the poor in spirit. So we have the poor in spirit, we have those who mourn, we have the meek, we have those that hunger and thirst for righteousness, we have those that are merciful, we have those that are pure in heart, we have the peacemakers, and we have those that are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Those are the qualities and characteristics of the stew of a blessed life. That's the recipe. If you're looking for the recipe to make yourself a meal of blessing in your life, that's the recipe. Those are the characteristics that God says, that Jesus says right there, this is what a blessed person looks like. It's a person who starts out poor in spirit. Now what does that mean? What does poor in spirit really mean? We've talked about this, but let me explain to you very simply. When poor in spirit means sharing your faith, When it comes to telling someone that there's a God who loves them, the poor in spirit is basically this. He teaches us how to share our faith right here. We are just beggars helping other beggars by sharing where we found bread. We're just beggars helping other beggars by sharing where we found the bread. See, Jesus said, I'm the bread of life. I'm living waters. You drink of me, you'll never be hungry or thirsty again. That's what he said. And all our job is to be beggars helping other beggars and say, hey man, I was a beggar like you, but I found something. Why don't you come with me? And they said, no, I don't want any of that. Well, you're an idiot. That's not our job. Our job is to be merciful, and sometimes we're just not. I tell you this because we're all called. We're all chosen. We're all equipped. We all have giftings in us that God has put in us. See, the Bible says in Psalms 34:8, taste and see that the Lord is good. Blessed is the one who takes refuge in him. Man, his stew is good, isn't it? It's salted just right because you are the salt of the earth. Because you're in it. Taste and see that the Lord is good. See, here's the thing. Sometimes you're the only Jesus that someone else will ever taste.
Amen.
Okay? And you need to be tasty. It just got really awkward talking. Whoa. Why did someone bite me at church instead of shaking my hand? Some people are afraid now. Keep your fingers to yourself. I'm telling you something about it. All right, so, but we taste and see that the Lord is good. We're the salt of the earth. It's our flavor that changes people's lives. Now, here's the cool thing, right? Everybody has their own flavor. All right, you got your own style. You got your own thing. You got your own giftings. You got your own abilities. God has flavored us all uniquely and different. We are salt, but each has its own talent. Okay, some people are good at making money. That's what you do. You're really good at it. You made some good money. You've done that. Some of you are really good at loving people. You're just excellent at sharing love. Some of you are patient, right? Some people that, you like press other people's patience. Some of you are so patient with people that just don't need patience, right? Some of you comfort those who mourn. I mean, you're really good at comforting people that are going through it. I'm an encourager. That's what I do. I don't comfort well. So if you're going through something and you just need like me to be like, woe is me with you, I'm always trying to bring you out of it. So I don't comfort well, I encourage well. Does that make sense? That's my flavor. So if you're like down and need encouragement, call me. But if you want me to just I'm sorry for you and weep with you, I do that, but I'm not good at staying there. Does that make sense? That's not my best. So when you're going through something, I'm like, come on, we can get you through this. And sometimes you just need some comfort for a minute, right? I mean, everyone needs a season, right? There's a season to mourn. There's a season to do those things. So you have to recognize your talents and ability and share that correctly. Some people have the ability to move people's hearts. I hope when I'm up here and I speak, I move your heart. Some people have the ability to inspire other people. And some people have the ability to teach, right? You all have a unique talent and ability that God has equipped you with. I don't know what each one of your talents are. Some of you make people laugh. Some of you make people cry. You're the onion of the soup, clearly. You know who you are. Don't stop elbowing him. I saw that. The truth is I can't see anything up here, just to be honest with you guys. Okay, there is a big difference. The Bible says be a candle on a hill, didn't it? It did not say to be the high beams. All right? It did not say blind people until they drive off the road and accept your way. Okay? And see, I can understand that because when I stand up here and preach, because we have these awful low ceilings, right? The lights are right. Oh, I shouldn't have looked. Dang it, I did it again. I knew that first service too. Is anybody still here? So these lights are right in my eyes. So if you ever feel like I'm staring at you when I preach, there's right in here, it's because I'm trying not to be blind. All right? So when I look at these lights, if you can't see these LEDs, if you ever look at them, they have 9 round little dots. And so after I manage to look in that way, when I blink, I just see dots. There are these 9 dots everywhere in my eyes. So I'm blinded by it. It is not comfortable. I don't like it. I don't enjoy getting blinded, okay? But sometimes that's how we are with sharing our faith. We want to tell people everything they've done wrong, everything they shouldn't be doing, every way they're living wrong, instead of introducing them to the bread of life, introducing them to a God who says, I love you. I died on a cross for you when you were still yet a sinner, with no anticipation of you cleaning up your life first. I just wanted you to know that I loved you regardless of where you're at. See, that's what God wants to do. He wants to meet people where you're at. He's not interested in cleaning them up to get them in church. He's not interested in cleaning them up. He wants to meet you right where you are. God loves Not conditional. He is a God of mercy. See, the great thing is when you're in love with someone and you truly love them, you stop trying to hurt them, right? God knows once He has your heart, all their stuff will clean itself up. He ain't worried about it. We need to stop being worried about it because we don't change people. God changes people. Love changes people. Love changes people. We're just supposed to be a salt to it. We're just supposed to add the right amount of flavor and leave it alone. So I got this water bottle here, right? So well, you ever drink a Dasani? Who here is a Dasani drinker? Like that's your water. Like that's your water, okay? Anybody have anyone like a Fuji or like another one, like you only drink Aquafina, right? I only drink water out of a hose because it reminds me of being a kid. I survived. I like rubber. What's wrong with that? That's the only rubber I peel. Rachel won't let me drive fast, that's the only rubber I peel. But did you guys know that Dasani has a little bit of salt added to it? It's got a little bit of sodium added to it? Yeah. So, but did you know that a little bit of salt is good? It's like electrolytes, right? It adds a little electrolytes. If you drink a Gatorade, it has salt added to it. It replenishes your electrolytes. Sometimes a doctor will actually tell you to drink, to have a little bit more salt in your diet. You need the sodium. You need, sometimes you're not supposed to, but sometimes you are. Yeah, you need those extra electrolytes. But a little bit of salt added to that, you never knew, right? It was good for you. But what happens if I just take this shaker and I pour like half of it in this water?
No.
Yes. But you guys will drink it right now, right? Somebody will drink this?
I'll drink it.
Right?
I'll drink it.
You'll drink it, right? I'm not going to make the new guy drink it. That's just mean. I told you not to be salty. Here, Aaron, hold this for me. Tell me if it tastes good. Pick on the intern.
Spit in it.
I did, I spit in it.
Here's
Tastes good.
Salty.
Drink a little more, it's okay, have a drink. I know you're tired from worship. You did a great job.
You saw when he opened that, right? Some of those lips have been on there.
No, that's fresh open. I didn't do it first. This is new.
You know Aaron gets sick
Are you
from
good?
stuff like
You
that,
good?
right?
You good?
Yeah, they want a salt shaker. Who's going along with
Oh no.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
That is hilarious.
I need a little like theme music.
Gotta get a bucket.
So salty.
Let's see how that.
Can't even see through that.
Hey, he doesn't. Here, let me give you an example. This is the conversation that we want to have. This is the guy that shows up at every family reunion and starts preaching to every single person in there about how they're going to hell. Okay, I'm just serious, right? You see him, you see Uncle Bob coming, you're like, oh my gosh. I'm a pastor, and I got that uncle that's like, oh my gosh, he's coming over here to tell me everything wrong I'm doing in my life. Okay. We all have that. He's a little bit salty because he doesn't have any love in his heart. There's no mercy. There's no compassion.
He's sad.
Cameron needs to see this. Just tell me if that's delicious.
I dare you to drink half that bottle.
What if I told you it was sugar?
Is that sugar?
No.
You can do it.
You got this. Ooh.
That's salty. Why so salty?
Get out. Good.
Is that delicious?
You're
Does
right.
that taste good?
I'll down it.
Hey, keep that off my Rolex. Yes, the Rolex is staying over there just as a reminder that I did destroy my Rolex. Not tasty, right? See, some of you guys are salty. Sometimes we're salty. Sometimes I'm salty, right? Sometimes I wake up a little bit salty. I just want to pour it on people, and I'm just moody and cranky. Like, we just need to have some mercy, right? We just need to understand that every now and then people are just broken. Come on, somebody wake up cranky here. See, my wife has learned something. She's learned how to be merciful to me when I'm cranky. Okay, I wake up sometimes or I can't find my screwdriver and I'm walking around the house. Where's my screwdriver? Every time I want to do one thing, it takes me 30 minutes to find the tool. It takes me 2 seconds to fix it. And you know what? She used to I didn't touch your. She'd come at me, right? It wasn't about her. I was just frustrated and angry, right? Just get frustrated, right? We all get frustrated. And so now she's learned, she just like sees me and I'm like, and she's like, she just excuses herself and gets out of my way. Most of the time she goes and looks for a screwdriver for me. She has mercy on me. She has great, come on, some of you guys need to be nicer to my wife. You don't know what she puts up with. Come on. You just don't know she has 3 boys. Learn from me. It's ridiculous. We're not making messes, you know. Sometimes we're a beautiful mess. Sometimes we're just a beautiful mess. And God has mercy and grace through that mess. Amen? We'll clean it up. It'll get right. Some of you have your own unique talents and abilities that you need to be sharing. If you're not sharing your talent, what is it for? If you have the capacity to love, love somebody. Don't love the people that's easy to love. Love the ones that are difficult to love. If you are patient, be patient with the ones that's difficult for. Anybody can be patient with the ones that's hard, right? Let me tell you the recipe for sharing your faith. See, it's sharing your testimony. Telling people what God has done for you. It's sharing your good deeds. Doing things for other people. Being there for other people. That's your light. And it's your salt that's missing ingredient in the recipe for a long and blessed life. That's the missing ingredient. You. For a blessed life. Being meek, being patient, being kind. Now, let me tell you why this message is so important to me. Let me tell you why it's so important that we're the right balance of salt. That we're the right kind of flavor. Because when people taste that, they want more. Right? Amen. When people taste that, they want more. They walk in this door and they taste what's going on here and they say, I want some of that. I'm hungry for that. That's what I want. I want what you have. Why is it you have so much joy and peace? See, you're going through the same fire I am. You're going through the same process I am. You're going through the same tragedy, the same despair that I am. Life has hit you just as hard as me. You look like you're going through the same storm, but you're in the fire and you still have joy. Yeah. You still have peace because we are peacemakers. See, salt is a peacemaker. That's what it does. It's a friendship maker. It is a covenant. It cannot be broken. You are salt. You don't change. The fire comes and you remain the same. And someone says, I want that. That is what I want. I need that. How do I get that? By showing them your salt. By showing them why it's important. And this is why this message is important to me. So, some people here that know this. So this week, man, I was devastated. I mean, my heart was broken. You saw my Facebook post. Today was a great day and a devastating day. My heart was devastated, and I haven't been able to let it go all week. So before I get serious here for a second, I'm going to give it a chance to be lighthearted. So I need you guys to get all the jokes out of the way real quick. Okay? I play Pokemon Go. Right? Got to catch them all. All right? It's the only game I really play. I play Pokemon Go, and if you're not familiar with Pokemon Go, you go around to places and actually catch Pokemon and fight things and battle things. It's important that I explain this to you, okay? I'm not just trying to recruit you into my game, okay? But you can hang out with me more. And some people here play it, so a lot of so the Pokemon Go, there's these bosses, right? In any game that you play, the bosses are tougher, right? And in this particular game, you have to have multiple people help you fight the boss. So real people have to show up at real places in order to beat them, okay? In order to get them. All right, so catch them all. You got to do that. So real people show up. So one of the things that Pokemon Go did when they were trying to decide what places should be these it's called a gym, and you battle in a gym, right? Okay, and when they were trying to decide that, is they decided that churches would be a great place, number one, for them. So there's this church called Victory Church that has closed down now. It's become a dance studio, but the game still thinks it's a church. Okay, or they didn't close, they moved, but. So there's a dance studio. When we show up at the dance studio, we ask them, hey, do you mind if we come in and get out of the heat? They invite us in. Sure, come inside, stand. The dance studio lady plays with us, right? And 3 or 4 times I saw the dads approach that lady and say, hey, my daughter is looking, she wants to get into dance, tell me about your place. Maybe I'll bring her here. So her being inviting of people outside her door has caused her to get business. Well, you'd say that's good business, right? That next door there's a vape shop, and anytime someone parks in front of the vape shop, he comes out and kicks them out of the, please don't park there. How many of you guys think they're going to go in there and buy vapes? Right? They're not going to do any of that there because that guy's not very friendly. He doesn't realize he's creating bad business. Okay, but the store is accommodating. Most of the places that you stop at, a huge percentage of them are like the community centers or churches. Why did Pokemon Go pick community centers and churches. Well, churches are supposed to be safe gathering places for the community. Wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Wouldn't you think that a church out of everywhere would be a safe gathering place for people to show up out of the community?
Yeah.
That would be welcoming and friendly and safe? You think, right? Except it's not.
Yeah.
Except it's not. So we show up at this church, right? And it's really cool. You know, messages go out and everyone just like descends. Like 60 people will just descend on this location out of everywhere. It's really crazy cool, and it's amazing to see it mobilize. It really is a better job sometimes than we do getting our message out, okay? And telling people what we're doing. But these 30 people descend on this church, and I won't name the church because I'm about to say ugly things, okay? And I don't bash churches, I don't bash other ministries, but I have to tell you the story. So 30 people descend on this church, and we park and we get out, and we're just standing in the shade, right? We're not hurting anything. We're not inside. We're not vandalizing, right? We're not doing anything destructive. No one's even like smoking, leaving their cigarette butts. I mean, there's nothing going on that's anything bad. And the church secretary comes out and she says, "Hey guys, what's going on?" And they say, "Oh, we're playing Pokemon Go. We'll be gone in a few minutes." And she goes, "Well, we got funerals this week. This week, not today. This week. We just can't have all this activity out here." And we're like, "Oh, okay. Do we need to move our cars?" And no. You know, are you guys going to be long? No, we'll be gone in like 10 minutes. You just battle it and you leave, right? We'll be gone in like 10 minutes. Okay. I just wanted to make sure because I don't know you guys. I don't know you guys, so you're not welcome here. So I got it. Now I understand. If you don't know us, we're not welcome at your church. So you better not show up on Sunday morning as a guest unless somebody invited you, because they will ask you at the door, who invited you and where's your permission slip? Do you think, and she walked off, I'm sitting there in my truck that says Freedom Fellowship Church on it, and I'm mortified. My heart is broken. And I'm in shock. And I should have jumped out while she was still standing there, but I was in shock. And she just started to walk away, and I'm like, oh my gosh. Did that just happen? So many thoughts running through my head. So, that doesn't look like our church, right? Let me tell you what, man. If I had a secretary like that, I'm telling you the truth. If I had a secretary that did that, I'd walk right in and tell her that she needed a new job. Then go ahead and leave right then and there. You're fired. I'd fire her that second because she clearly doesn't understand what we do. She doesn't understand what the church is. So I jumped out of the truck, and there's several here that can testify to that. I jumped out of the truck immediately, and I said, no, this injustice has to be solved right now. My heart hurts. I can't let this go. So I walked right over and said, hey guys, I just want you to know something. You guys are welcome at my church. That is not what church looks like. That's not how church should be. That's not what my Bible says. That's not what my Jesus is, and that's not what my God is. I said, so anytime you want to pray, anytime you guys want to, you come to my church. I said, not only will I let you stay in the parking lot, but I'll open up the door for you. You can sit in the air conditioning, okay? And if your phones are dying, got plenty of jacks. You can plug right in and charge up your phone. If you guys are going to be a little while, I'll put a movie on for you to watch. I said, don't tell anyone else, but in the freezer on the bottom, there's some Rolos. You're welcome to them. I said, you come to my church whenever you want. Because that's what my God would do. See, here's the thing. We're called to be fishers of men. Are we not? She had a chance to flavor someone's life. She had people churches spend money on outreaches. They spend time preparing and planning and outreach. And there's 30 people at your church wishing that you'd open the doors for them. They're standing there. The fish aren't in the water. They're in the net. They're in the net. They're in the net of your pond. And instead of pulling the net up, you'd rather drain the pond. You'd rather drain the pond than reach those people. It's already full, and they gave it up. This is how I know what I'm saying is right. This is how I know. So yeah, it might be a game, but since that moment, I've had 4 conversations with people about God. Do you know who brought up the conversations? They did. Every time. I didn't say anything. I didn't go up to them. I didn't start throwing salt in their eyes. Okay, I didn't start rubbing salt in their wounds and saying, you're a sinner, look at your wounds, and start hurting them. That's not what I did. I just was salt. I just was light. I just told them, hey, my God loves you. And several of them are here this morning. Okay? So that church had an opportunity to go out to him and say, hey, here's a bottle of water. It's hot out here, guys. If you're not doing it on Sunday, come back on Sunday too. Not just for the game, but come back and see us. And they probably would have. I'm telling you right now, love is the thing that captures people's hearts. It's the net that we're supposed to cast. Salt is merciful, it's loving, it's kind, it's gentle, it's sincere, it's fair, it's impartial. Do you understand what I'm saying this morning? And sometimes we don't understand that. We think our job as Christians is to beat people over the head until they submit to the way we see the Bible. Until they clean up their act, right? You heard what it said. Be gentle on the sinner. Don't like sin. It doesn't mean I give up on sin. Let me tell you very quickly, one of those quick stories. We were going around the park, and we came to the end of the park, and it turns out some of the people from the group were there. And so we said, oh, we'll just go up and socialize, right? Me and Eli. And we just went up and started socializing. And I was just sitting, we're just playing Pokemon Go. And I don't even know how it happened, but within 5 minutes, it was this entire conversation about God. I didn't spark it, I didn't encourage it, I didn't initiate it. See, people are drawn to light. They're drawn to salt. They recognize when something's different, when there's flavor missing from their life. And they just start asking you. And they start talking to you because there's an emptiness inside them that you can fill. That's what it is to be light to the world, is you make yourself available to show someone love. And so I let them know. And you know what's amazing about every conversation I have with people? Let me tell you something about what happens. Do you know almost every conversation I have with somebody about church, when they find out I'm a pastor, they usually start out by saying, I used to go to church. So if a conversation happens where someone says, I used to go to church, I can guarantee you 95% of the time this is the response you're going to get. I used to go to church, but they judged me because I wasn't perfect. They judged me because I was this. They judged me because I was that. They judged me because I had a problem with this. Right? I wasn't perfect, so they judged me. So guess what they say next? Now I just love going to church all the time. I don't ever go to church. So because that church judged you, now you don't go to church. Is that what we're looking for? To drive people out? Or how are they ever going to know there's a God that loves them when we kick them out? When we drive them away with saltiness. Because we just want to throw it all on them. Does that make sense? I have never met anybody that's come up to me and said, I used to go to church, but they judged me, so now I go every week. The other 5% are I used to go to that church, they judged me, so I switched to that church. 5% of them will try another church. The other 95% never come back. We need to realize what our net looks like. We need to realize what our recipe looks like to save people, to reach people, to help people, to love people. Right? And not be so full of pride that we think we're the ones that are right all the time. It has nothing to do with right or wrong. It has to do with mercy. Amen. Bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father God, Lord, I pray, Father God, that you make us the salt of the world. That you help us, God, to know how to be the salt in our world. How to reach a lost and dying world. How to share your love. How to share your mercy and your grace to people. God, give us a blessed life because we follow and hunger and thirst after you. That we realize that in you is the recipe of life, God.